Hi, I'm Mark Toole with 8020service.com, and today's customer service video question of the day comes from Quora yet again, and the question is, as usual, these questions very long-winded phrasing here, but the question is worded as, what's the best way for a business to win a chargeback from a credit card company? In other words, this person's asking, as a business, how do you win credit card chargebacks? The answer is simple. It's not necessarily easy. The first thing basically I'll say is you win these chargebacks by doing everything right. Now, I'll go into more specifics as to what that means. Number one tip, though, that I'll give anybody watching this, if you're watching this, you already probably figured this part out, but it'll still put you ahead of the vast majority of businesses out there. Know what a chargeback is, and when you get one, respond to it. Dispute the thing, submit your response to the credit card company. A lot of businesses don't even know what this is. They probably never even hear about it when they get a chargeback. If they do, they panic. They just refund the guy or they ignore it forever because they don't want to mess with it, and they automatically lose. If you do that, you lose. You've lost. You're wasting your time. I mean, you're not wasting any time, but you're losing money. We all know the problems with chargebacks. You're risking your reputation with your credit card processors. It's not a thing that you want. So, really, I mean, a little bit of a backstory on this, too. I've had a lot of experience with this. Company I worked with in the past was, before I took over this stuff, essentially ignoring their chargebacks. They were showing up in some system that nobody was checking, and it built up to the point where they were getting in trouble with their credit card processors, briefly lost the ability to accept American Express. Through the work that I did, we got it back, of course, but that's a problem for higher ticket investment type products. A lot of these people like to use American Express. So I have a lot of experience responding to a huge backload of chargebacks, seeing what works, what doesn't, and developing a system from there. When I put together my customer service guide, the 80/20 service guide, I started out having distinct sections in there. These are the things you do to reduce your refund rate. These are the things you do to increase customer retention. These are the things you do to prevent chargebacks. These are the things you do to win chargebacks. These are the things on and on and on and on. I got a lesson in my own theory here, my own philosophy in 80/20. When I started writing these things, I realized that it was all kind of the same thing. That the 80/20 principle definitely applied. You do a few select things right, it helps with all of these things: winning chargebacks, preventing refunds, happier customers, higher customer retention, all of this. So I'll go into a little bit here. I'm not going to go into complete detail. There's more to it than this, of course, but simply don't do things wrong. Basically, the easiest chargebacks out there to win are the only ones you should be getting, really. If you're getting any chargebacks that are actually legitimate, where the customer actually has a point at all in what they're saying, you're not going to win. I mean, you might, but you probably will not win. To win chargebacks, you need to show that the customer filing the complaint, because you're not getting a chargeback from the credit card company. The credit card company's not looking at transactions and saying, this looks like kind of bad, No, they're not doing that. They don't care. They want to process charges. They're doing this because their customer sent them a complaint. So what you want to do is make sure that any complaint they're going to get is ridiculous, is just someone who's clearly wrong, who's trying to take advantage of the system. Then when you craft your response, you show in the response clearly that this person's ridiculous, you've done everything right. So for example, that means verifying I'm not going to go into the boring nerd details on this. You can look this up anywhere. Verify the things that you need to verify from the customer's credit card, their information, their name, their address, their email, whatever, all of this stuff. Have the information that you need to have available on your checkout page, on various other places. Don't have the customer, if you hide a renewal, if you don't tell a customer their subscription's going to renew, and then it renews and they file a dispute, you'll lose because you didn't tell them. If you tell them that, and you can show that you told them that, then they're being ridiculous and they will lose. Not all of the time. I'll be honest with you, sometimes these credit card companies just find in favor of the customer regardless of what you do. I don't know where it comes from, but you can still win a large number of these disputes if you do things right. So you basically prevent these chargebacks from happening, and the ones that do happen are going to be people who are trying to take advantage of you. People who they wanted a refund, but they didn't bother to ask for a refund. They just filed a chargeback. They think it's easier. People who want to buy a thing, download all the files, and then report it to their credit card company as fraud and get it for free. Very rarely you might get a case where someone's credit card information is stolen and used to purchase your product. In my years of experience dealing with this stuff, including thousands of chargebacks that I've looked at, I could probably count on one hand the number of times I've seen something that wasn't even conclusive, that even looked like it could possibly be that. All the other cases were clear examples of a customer who either didn't read what they agreed to, didn't remember what they agreed to, or is just trying to use the chargeback process to force a refund, to punish a company they no longer are happy with, all these other things, to get something for free. It's mostly abuse, whether they realize it or not. Sometimes they realize it, sometimes they're just lazy, sometimes they didn't read the fine print, sometimes you didn't make things clear to them. For example, a product that company I worked with launched a while back. This was an expensive product. It was $2,000 plus for investing information, and they got the whole portfolio up front. So with that, we put a no refunds policy on it. And this was not something that we hid in the fine print. This was in the copy several times, large print. Again, there are no refunds here. Click this box to agree to the terms, including no refunds. People still got the thing, downloaded all the files, probably never made an investment because these freebie seekers don't actually use the things they steal. They're just information junkies. And then came to us demanding a refund. I said, listen, there are no refunds on this. We told you that. You know this. Oh, I didn't see that. Yes, you did, and you agreed to it. And then a few of them went to the credit card company, filed disputes, and lost because we made it very clear to them that they did buy the thing, that they did agree to this. The other common one that people get is claiming they never received the product. If you're sending a physical item, send it with something with tracking information. And if you're doing anything digital, have information about when they've logged in, about emails that you've sent them, things like that. If that doesn't apply, you can even put something in there like, look, customers pay for access to this thing, whether they log in or not is up to them. They've paid for it. It's provided. They have access to it. See here. The thing to keep in mind, and I'll wrap this up here because I don't want to go too detailed. That's what the guide's for. I go into all this stuff there, which again, you can find that on my website, 8020service.com. But the point I want to make here is that your response to these chargebacks, these disputes, these things that come into you, first of all, you're not trying to convince the customer of anything. In my opinion, that once somebody files a chargeback, they are no longer a customer. Win or lose, I'm canceling their account. I'm blocking them from ever buying again. I'm removing them from all email lists. Yes, if they paid for something and I win the dispute, I'm going to continue to deliver what they paid for and no more. And when that's up, they are gone and they are never welcome back because they have lost that privilege. But you're not trying to convince this customer, or really former customer, of anything at this point. You're never going to speak to them again, as far as I'm concerned. The person you're trying to convince, some might say you're trying to convince the credit card company. Again, that's not correct. You're trying to convince specifically the person working in the credit card company tasked with reviewing the responses to disputes. And I don't know what this person's rules are, or heuristics, or procedures, or NPC programming, or whatever they have there. They have some guidelines of how they do their job, I'm sure. They're not just acting on a whim. But either way, your point in this response is to persuade this person to find in your favor, to persuade them that the customer's being ridiculous, trying to take advantage of the system. You, as a business, have done everything right. You've given them ample opportunity to cancel their account, to do whatever they want, to ask for a refund. They didn't bother. They're abusing the system. That's what you're trying to convince this person of. And you do this not by getting emotional or defensive. You do that, you've lost. You do this by behaving in a business-like fashion because you're interacting with somebody working in a business, somebody who's got a lot of rules, and regulations and things like that governing what they have to do, how they if they find in your favor or not. Again, I don't know what those rules are. I don't know if you can find those rules anywhere. Might be helpful, but really think about it that way, and you can craft your response in a way that makes the company finding in your favor the reasonable outcome. It's not always going to happen, but it often will. And remember that your response is persuasion, it's copy, it's marketing, it's influence. You're trying to sell this person on finding in your favor. So don't give this to some people love this term virtual assistant. I don't know what that is. I don't like that term. Don't give it to that. Give it to somebody who knows what they're doing, somebody who understands the business, who understands the company, the process, the customer service, the funnels, the flow from marketing to customer to whatever comes next, and most importantly, somebody who knows how to write persuasively, because that's what this is. You need to persuade this low-level person working at Visa or wherever to find in your favor, and it's not simply some dumb, overly wordy corporate document. It needs to be readable, persuasive copy. I'm going to wrap this video up here. It's getting long enough. I don't want to give away all the details here. The video would be way too long for that. The rest of it, like I said, is in the guide. But as always, I do one of these videos every weekday on a customer service question or topic. This one came from Quora. Most of them come from Quora. But if you have a question, you can ask me on Quora, or if you're watching on YouTube, ask me in the comments on YouTube. I may use it in a future video. And I write regularly on business and customer service topics on Quora in response to questions. And again, on the website, 8020service.com, which is where you can find all the writing about this stuff. I do a daily email there, so you can get on the list. You can also find the 80/20 service guide there, which is what I talk about, where I go into more detail about all this chargeback stuff. You'll see the link. But I'm going to wrap this video up here, and I'll be back tomorrow with another one.